I was shocked. Like, I knew something was wrong, but I did not think it was going to be cancer.
I was 25, like not very many 25-year-olds have advanced colon cancer.
Shay Wright and Tanner Martin's love story has been drastically altered following a terminal cancer diagnosis.
We first met when Tanner was a LDS or a Mormon missionary in Mesa, Arizona. And then about 5 years later, we reconnected after he was done with his mission. I was done with my mission. And then it turned into more than friends when we made out one night. And then, yeah, it was kind of history from there. After that makeout, it was like, all right, we're going to date each other.
In 2020, Tanner began having symptoms. He was 25 years old.
I just started having some digestive issues. I was going to the bathroom a lot, and then I started to see blood in my stool. And I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I was pretty sure that wasn't supposed to happen.
At first, doctors weren't worried.
He gave me some medicine that helped my digestion like calm down, I guess. It made my acid less acidy or something. And that actually made my symptoms disappear for about 6 months. But then it came back, and it came back hard. The meds weren't working anymore, and I was tired all the time. In that colonoscopy, I mean, they couldn't even really do it. He like started it, and then I think he said he got the camera like 10 centimeters into my colon, and then the camera, there's a giant tumor, and he couldn't fit the camera past it at all. And then he woke me up, and he was like, listen, I'm not an oncologist. And he's like, but you definitely have colon cancer, or, some form of bowel cancer. It was kind of a relief, because I remember I was just not doing well. And it was causing problems at work and at school. And I was like, there is something wrong with me.
The oncologist was like, it's probably stage 1 or stage 2 because you're so young. So let's do some more scans. And he was like, it's spread to your liver, it's stage 4. And that was a shock.
Stage 4 cancer means the cancer has spread from where it originated to another organ. It is the most severe cancer diagnosis.
The statistics of surviving with stage 4 colon cancer for more than 5 years are very low.
Yeah.
It's like 14%.
Tanner immediately attacked the cancer head on.
The most aggressive approach we could take, we took 12 rounds of a IV chemo called Fullest. I've gotten like 20-ish rounds of another IV chemo called Full Fury. I've done like 50 rounds of radiation. I've had, I think, 4 or 5 major surgeries, and then dozens and dozens of just small procedures.
But in 2023, the pair got bad news.
They were like, hey, your cancer is incurable now.
My doctors are like, your cancer has spread so much, this is most likely what's going to kill you.
Then more bad news.
Tanner got septic in July, the end of June of 2023, and he battled sepsis from then until January of 2024. So that means like no cancer treatment, like just battling sepsis over and over and over.
I was basically living in the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, there is nurses that I know on like a first name basis. Our pastor came to visit me in the hospital, and he hadn't seen me in a couple months. He came in and he thought he was in the wrong room. Like, he saw me and he was like, oh, he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm looking, for Tanner Martin's room. And my mom was like, that is Tanner. And he was like, what? And I lost so much weight, like 100 pounds probably in the span of like 3 or 4 months.
Now that Tanner's diagnosis is terminal, he and Shay are focused on living life to the fullest.
The whole lot was like, let's also be really intentional with our life. Like, let's do all the things we want to do together. Yeah, that was my dream, to go to Italy. It was Tanner's dream to do Ireland. So we both got to do that together. My parents were so sweet, and they got us a puppy, like our cancer support dog, which was really, really helpful for me. We went to Disney World in Florida. We went on a cruise.
The Dream Foundation also helped him meet one of his heroes.
I got to meet Mark Hamill in June. Freaking Luke Skywalker. my childhood hero.
Yeah.
They emailed him, and within an hour, he emailed back and was like, I would love to do that. And he took us to dinner, and the restaurant owner was super cool, and she opened early for us, so there wasn't anyone there but us. And it was I don't know how to adequately describe that experience, but I just got to spend 2 hours talking to Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
They've also finished school together.
I have a master's in marriage and family therapy.
And then I have a bachelor's in family studies with a minor in indigenous studies.
They've even already had Tanner's funeral.
Our death doulist suggested, like, hey, just so you know, like, people do celebrations of life and living funerals. And we were like, oh yeah, that would be cool. Let's have a red carpet premiere event of Tanner's life story. And it can be basically a celebration of life, living funeral.
It was super happy. Like, people were excited to be there, and it was special. Like, I really treasure that day and that time I had with all of them.
They share a lot of their journey on social media.
I'm a therapist, so it's very therapeutic for me to we call it like your grief witnessed. So just people seeing the hard and not hiding it, being very open about it was very helpful, because then it felt less like I was doing it alone.
And I just prayed a lot and asked God to not take Tanner from me.
I think we've been able to talk about a lot of things like death or, planning for funerals, like things that would make people uncomfortable. But it's important to talk about, because you don't want to come to the end of your life and realize oh my gosh, I didn't really prepare to die like that. I mean, that's really what your worst nightmare is all that fear at the end. And it's good to, it helps me get ready for that. And I feel peaceful about it, being able to talk to people about it.
Yeah, it feels good for me to, as his wife, to have that planned. So when Tanner dies, I can just grieve and just be sad, and I don't have to worry about what would Tanner want, what would he want on his headstone, where would he want to be buried. We have all of that figured out. I don't have to worry about it. I can just be sad. Sharing your grief and having people listen to it is extremely healing. And finding people in a situation similar to yours, it has at least been very helpful for me. And also it's, like I said, therapeutic to be open about it.
They educate people on end-of-life preparations and cancer awareness.
$2,600. That's the cemetery plots. We chose an evening viewing package, $4,295. A really pretty dark brown casket. That was about $3,000. Tanner wanted a bench so we could come visit and sit and talk with him. And that was $9,519. So $23,000. A little more than $23,000. I highly encourage everyone to purchase life insurance.
I didn't have life insurance because I was 25 years old. And so now I don't qualify for life insurance. But you can get a pretty cheap policy, that is enough to cover your funeral and leave your spouse comfortable for a little bit. And so I think being able just to bring that kind of into the zeitgeist, hey, there is a chance that this could happen. And for, this amount of money, you can prevent your family from going through a lot. So I think that was something else that motivated us to share that part of our journey.
Yeah.
I'm in a men's support group called Man Up to Cancer. People are getting it younger. But I mean, in my men's cancer group, we have kids in it. There is 11-year-olds who have stage 4 colon cancer. Guys in my group were in their 30s when they got diagnosed, and I was 25. It's just important that people just are super aware that, the standard for checking for colon cancer is probably lower than it should be. Well, not probably, it is lower than it should be. I've had a couple people share with me just on TikTok that they've gone to get colonoscopies and they have found precancerous stuff And the doctor's like, wow, it's a really good thing you came in because now we're going to do colonoscopies like every 2 years, you know? And I mean, that makes me so happy. It makes me happy that like there's people that I've helped.
Tanner doesn't know how much time he has left, but he wants to continue to inspire others.
I just want my legacy to be one where if anyone's going through something similar to what we are going through, that my story has somehow helped them prepare for, you know, for bad things. I just want it to be something where like, oh, you know, this is happening. We got to plan this thing for the funeral, you know, or like, oh, I'm getting these symptoms. Like I should go check, you know, for a colonoscopy. I think for someone who's not living their life to the fullest is we worry so much about like sometimes like the worst thing that could happen, right? And we're worried that if we, you know, shoot for these big dreams that we have, or like, you know, to live our life to the fullest, that will fail and that it'll hurt and it'll be embarrassing. But something my dad used to tell me when I was a kid is he would just always, what did he say? He would say, shoot for the stars and you might land on the moon. I think people spend so much time focusing on the negative of like all the bad things that could happen that we don't realize all these good things that could happen are just as possible.
For more information on colorectal cancer, visit fightcolorectalcancer.org. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindle.